All right, guys, I've got something exciting to share with you. Walksnail has released a new version of their goggles. I don't know if you've been following along with what Walksnail has been putting out, but they have been updating like crazy. New cameras, new VTXs, race mode, multiple new VTXs. We have iterations on their Whoop VTX. We have iterations on their full-size VTX. They simplified it, gave us direct soldered connectors, hardened the device, made it easier to mount into our drones, gave us the single antenna option, and now they've brought back the double antenna option, offered the lower output module for racing along with that race mode. They're just dropping product after product, standalone receiver, goggles, entry-level goggles, and now an all new set of goggles. And you may be asking yourself, like, what is the point of these? Well, I'll be honest with you, they've gone above and beyond where their goggles were at before. On top of that, they've given us some future proofing, which is something I love to see because I really am just not a fan of the commoditization of goggles that you see these days. Basically, when I got into this hobby, I had one set of goggles and I used those goggles for several years, and then I got another set of analog goggles and I kept upgrading the receivers, etc. But for the most part, I didn't have to upgrade my goggles every single year. And it feels like lately, you know, you get the DJI goggles, then you got to get the Walksnail goggles, then you got to get the HD0 goggles, and now you got to get the new DJI goggles. Hang on a second. Before I get into all of that, let's just take a look at these beautiful goggles. Here they are, fresh out of the packaging. You might be asking yourself, what is setting this new goggle apart from the last generation of the Walksnail goggles? And I'll tell you right now, pretty much everything that the old goggle offered, the new goggles meet and or exceed that. So I'm just gonna go over some of the technical specifications just to give you an idea of that exactly. Field of view. On the first gen goggle, 46 degrees. The new one, 50 degrees. IDP, old goggle, 57 to 70. New goggle, 54 to 74. Gets closer and further apart. Field of view, wait, no, we already did field of view. Everything, focus adjustment, canvas mode, sharing, race mode, etc. They both have that. These goggles also have an AV input. Now the old goggles, you had the HDMI out, but it was over the USB-C. You had to have the right adapter. With the new goggle, we have two HDMI ports. We have an in and an out right here, just like my HD0 goggles, and I love that. Really, they are matching what HD0 brought in. Speaking of matching what HD0 is offering, this set of goggles also comes packed with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. That Wi-Fi and Bluetooth in the future are going to have a lot of features they're currently working on. Let me just read those off. There will be an app for sharing your videos on social media. There will be support for firmware updates and, wait, is that right? Updating the firmware over Wi-Fi? Okay, that's pretty nice. I'm not really a fan of how we do the updates to the VTX in particular. If we can get over-the-air updates from the goggle to the VTX, that would be super sweet. But just being able to do Wi-Fi update on the goggles is a step in the right direction. An app to find your drone on a map. So I'm assuming that you're going to need a GPS. They've got the distance because of the time of flight of the radio signal. It would be interesting if they gave the last known distance as a ring around you, and you could be like, well, I was flying that way and it was about this far because of the video signal. That's interesting. But at the very least, I'm assuming if you have a GPS, it's gonna show where the location or last known location of that drone was. So I know that one of the things everybody's gonna be asking is, what is the price on these? And I gotta admit, when Walksnail asked me what I thought the goggles should be costing, you know, I threw a number out there that was in line with most other sets of goggles on the market these days. I honestly haven't looked recently. The last set of goggles I bought were the new HD0 goggles. And I said, you know, if you're including antennas and you don't have to add anything onto it, I think that $600 is a reasonable price. That is not what they are gonna be charging. These are coming out at $459. That's right. It's crazy. $459. So it's a really good bargain for a top tier FPV goggle that's gonna work with a system that gives you options for longer range stuff. It gives you options for race mode. I don't mean to give it air quotes. Can you race with it? Yes. Would I? I'm not sure that I would. But that's also somebody that has analog, HD0, DJI, Walksnail, like you name it. I have all the video systems, so it's just not something that I would personally do. However, it is an option if you're wanting to pick one system and just use that system. Walksnail is going to fill that need better than a DJI for sure, and better than an analog for that matter. Yeah, there may be arguments one way or the other about HD0, but I digress. I don't really want to make this a comparison of video systems. If you're in the market trying to decide what system is right for you, like, God bless you. It's really hard, and that's a great thing for FPV that we have all of these options. People. I know there's going to be people in the comments that are like, oh, DJI is the best, this is trash. HD0 is the best, this is trash. Your video system is not your religion. I know that you want to justify the expense that you have invested into this system, but you don't have to talk down other systems in order to justify that to yourself. If it works great for you, I am so happy for you, but don't talk down to everybody else in the community. We're all in this and doing this because we love flying and we love technology and we love drones. So let's keep it that way. All right, that's my rant. That's my 2 cents. I just see so much vitriol in the community about which video system is better than the other, and I just want to just stomp on that right here and now. Okay, what else? When it comes to your standard functions of an FPV goggle, these are meeting and or exceeding all of the metrics set by the last generation of Walksnail goggles. However, one of the things that I really want to point out is with the old goggle, you had the 720p 100 frames per second. The new goggle also does 1080p at 100 frames per second. So that is super nice. Now that brings us to my favorite feature of this goggle, and that's going to come down for customization and future proofing. Now, this top panel right here, I don't know if you can see that or not, is going to be removable. I haven't taken it off yet, but underneath that panel is the RF module for these goggles. So what that means is that when Walksnail comes out with a new protocol or a new frequency or a new anything with their video, instead of having to buy a whole new set of goggles, all you have to do is buy the new receiver, pop this bad boy open, pull out the old receiver, put in the new receiver, and you will have the newest features that are coming to the Walksnail system with the next system, whatever it is. Like, I can't say how cool I think that is, but I think that that is a huge thing. It really lets you know that if you're investing in these goggles, they're going to function with the system for the foreseeable future. Will there be a point where it's not going to work? Sure, when we have 4K, 300 hertz video, but that's not today, that's not tomorrow, that's not anytime in the next couple of years. So for what you're going to be able to expect out of the RF performance of FPV systems in the future, for at least the next generation or two, these goggles are going to be your go-to goggles. Now, another feature of the goggles that I do like, when you plug, oh wait, did it go blue? It was definitely red. Plug it in, green, blue. Hey, I never noticed that it goes blue for a second. So when you plug in the goggles, you're gonna get these nice, cool little LEDs on the front, which, some people are gonna like it, some people are gonna hate it. It's really, I could take it or leave it. It doesn't really faze me. I'm assuming that there is some indication as to the mode, maybe if you're bound to a drone or not, etc., that you can see in these LEDs. You probably could even put like a, well, not really. I don't know. Maybe you could do a something having to do with channels. I don't know. Doesn't matter. What does matter is that this little plastic piece that the that the LEDs are on is replaceable. So if you wanted to upgrade it with patch antennas, there will be options to put patch antennas on the front. Right now I just have 4 Omnis. That is what comes with the goggles. When you open up the case, there is a cable for powering the goggles, XT60 to barrel connector. And I will say this, the case for the goggles is very nice. Let me just show you a look at this. Me personally, once I get a set of goggles, if I'm using them, take them out of the case, throw them in my bag, and that's it. But this case is very nice. Let's see if I can catch the light here so you can kind of get a look at it. Good zipper, little loop for danglies. And what I like is how the cutouts of the case fit the antennas just perfectly. It's going to be hard to capture that, but you can see how there's little holes for the antennas to go into. So when you put the goggles, and little holes for the diopters as well, and focusers, as you put the goggles in the case, they feel very secure. They can't slide around because of the holes and all the cutouts. So I feel very secure in the case with the goggles. That said, my use of the case is going to come down to how much I end up using this product, and we'll get to that later on in the video. When it comes to RF performance, I've been flying these, not a ton, done a few flights around the house, a few flights around the kids' school, etc. They perform pretty much the same as what I expect a Walksnail system to perform. I've not done any crazy penetration or long range tests. You have the ability to put better antennas on, and I assume that if you're going to go long range that you are going to put those better antennas on. So we're not here to talk about the RF performance of the Walksnail system. We talked about price, we talked about features. I probably left some out. I'm not like a super thorough reviewer. I'm gonna give you the real skinny fit. That's a very important one. Fit of the goggles. There are good things and bad things here. First of all, let's start with the strap. If you look at the fake leather here, it does not feel the most high quality. You've got an adjustment via Velcro. It's not my favorite. I don't like Velcro adjustments. Once you make the adjustment, it wears out. I like buckles that I can slide. It is nice and stretchy, so you can get kind of the length that meets your needs and do that. But let's face it, all of my goggles, except for the HD0 goggles, have aftermarket straps on them. Which brings us to the foam. The foam for the faceplate. I've let a lot of people kind of look through these goggles, try them out, see what they think, and it's a mixed bag of review. I would say more people like it than dislike it. However, for me, they went with a wider face profile. So when I put the goggles to my face, there's a little bit of a back and forth. Like it can go that way to get the side foam here and this way to get the side foam there. And so it never feels like it has a good fit left to right. And so the foam pressure all comes in across the top and across the nose, which is a little bit uncomfortable. Now that can be fixed with some aftermarket foam. I'm not gonna ding it there. Other people said the HD0 goggles were the most comfortable ever. Those aren't the most comfortable that I've had. I'm still waiting to get some aftermarket foam for those. I know that finally there's a couple things on the market. I need to just order them. I've kind of just sucked it up and lived with it till now. I'm gonna order some foam for these and my HD0 goggles at the same time. So that pretty much covers it for the fit. I also forgot to mention there is a IR sensor here that knows when your face is in the goggles. So they will conserve battery life and the life of the panels that are inside of the little diopters here, and it turns them off whenever your face is not in it. So another nice feature added for these goggles. So talked about the fit, talked about the price, talked about the features. Next up, I want to take off the top panel because I've not done that yet. So in order to do that, what you're gonna have to do is you come in here and we're gonna pull the foam off and try not to damage it in any way. And underneath that foam here, you can see there are 2 screws. 1, 2. So I'm assuming this Phillips head and that driver out. I think that driver's gonna work. Careful not to strip it. And once you pop off the top, there is a little Wi-Fi antenna on the top, but that gives you access to the RF board. Looks like it's held in with 4 screws. If you want to look in there. I am not going to tear the goggles apart any more than that. I don't need to. I can see where, I think we can just pop out the front panel, but I'm not going to try to do that today. I will leave that to someone else. Interestingly, there is a USB port on the RF module itself. So I can see the U.FL connectors, well, at least some of them. I don't see any big gotchas here. It's gonna be pretty easy to pop this off and upgrade your RF module on the new Walksnail goggles. All right, sweet. And once you've done that, you're ready to pop them back in. We're just gonna apply a little pressure on the front, pop, pop, a little pressure in the back, pop that back into place, and ready for the screws in the back. And it will be that easy to replace your RF module. I will say, after popping that open, it might be a little bit tricky for the front panels. I don't have directions on that. I don't feel like taking them apart any further beyond this. For me and the way that I intend to use the Walksnail system, this is more than adequate, and I'm going to leave it at that. In order to replace those front panels with patches, you're gonna have to take that metal plate off of the receiver to get to the U.FL connectors, it looks like. Not a huge pain, but it's definitely not as easy as, say, screwing on some patch antennas. Huh. Yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. I guess you could always just screw in patch antennas onto the SMAs, but with the additional connectors, you got U.FL to the coax to a SMA, or in this case, an RP-SMA. Quit doing that, guys. The RP-SMA and SMA, just pick one and stick with it. So all my antennas always work. Overall, these goggles are fantastic. Who do I think they're good for? I think that these goggles are great for someone who may have dipped their toes into the Walksnail system. Say you bought a standalone receiver and you're using it with older analog goggles, or you're using it with HD0 and you're finding yourself flying Walksnail a whole lot, and you want to go the next step of having dedicated Walksnail goggles. These are definitely for you. Or you're getting into the hobby and you've decided that the Walksnail system is the best system for you. These would be the goggles that I would recommend going forward for someone in that scenario. Now, if you are someone who is flying Walksnail on maybe one bird and you rarely do it, but you like having the option, and it's not the one you go the hardest on, and it's not your primary anything, I don't know that I would dump almost $500 on a new set of goggles. These are some of the most affordable FPV goggles on the market, though, at $459, and so I think they're a great value for somebody new. They come with a ton of features, and they have some future-proofing features built in there, so I think they're a great value. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe. I got more videos coming, lots of new products, and I have a really fun and exciting trip coming up that I think you guys are not gonna wanna miss the content from that. So stick around. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.